What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, and it is Terrible Tuesday. I hope everybody's doing well out there. I am still struggling to recover from this freaking sore throat. You can tell, you can hear a little bit of a raspiness to my voice here, and I am trying. I'm trying very hard to ditch this sore throat, but she's a lingering. She is absolutely lingering and very frustrating. So let's kick it off here. Let's get to some Raider talk on today's episode. We'll talk the Raiders and Champ Kelly parting ways. Also, I'm going to put out there what I think the Raiders' most pressing needs are heading into the draft and into free agency. And we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the top six college quarterbacks that'll be in the draft according to Fox Sports. And we'll go ahead and take a look at that. And whatever else seems to pop up. So we'll start that off. Like I said, Champ Kelly and the Raiders parting ways. Champ Kelly, if you don't know who he is the assistant general manager for the Raiders. He's been the assistant GM for the last couple seasons. He was the interim general manager after Josh McDummy was fired. So there was that, and for most of the podcasts I listened to, whether it's Locked On Raiders or Hondo, they always said Champ Kelly is going to be the next great GM in the league. It just it takes time for them for somebody like him to ascend to that job, and unfortunately, it's not with the Raiders. And I really thought after the Raiders moved on from their GM this year, before they hired Spytech, I really thought that Champ Kelly was going to be that guy. I really did. I just because he's been around, he didn't leave. When the new regime took over, when AP took over, he wasn't. When a new GM came in, he stuck around. He stuck around for a year, and whether that was because of lack of offers or what have you, I'm not really sure. I don't know. I could sit here and speculate and make shit up all day. I don't know, but he stuck around last season and into this offseason after again we clean house and go through interviews and stuff, and he's there for all that. Well, I guess he interviewed for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know how the hell you say it. Open GM position, and apparently he's been passed over for that as well. He had one interview, and I guess he was not asked for a face-to-face interview, so that tells you that he more than likely did not get that job. And then I'm not sure why they decided now the Raiders and Champ Kelly to part ways. Whether it was Champ Kelly looking to part ways or it was the Raiders looking to part ways from Champ Kelly, I'm not really sure. But it's happened. So there's that. Best of luck to Champ Kelly and wherever the hell he's going to end up. I'm not sure. And hopefully one day, he's a GM in the league and he's very successful, and we can say that hey, you got to start in Las Vegas. So, all right. So moving on from that, looking at team needs heading into this off season and heading as we slowly creep closer to the draft. Team needs, and this is what I think the Raiders' biggest team needs are. I'm sure most fans or most reputable websites probably are pretty close to this. It's pretty standard. I think it's obvious, and so I think the most pressing team needs for the Raiders are obviously quarterback. That's number one, first and foremost. Running back, I think, isn't too far behind quarterback. Wide receiver, that's also a need. I don't know if that's a pressing need or not, but it's a need. Offensive line, I think, is up there as well. And then I have defensive tackle. Uh, I was kind of like tossing it back and forth, defensive tackle, cornerback. So I went with defensive tackle. Uh, just there's it's a deep draft class for defensive tackle. Raiders have a couple defensive tackles that are unrestricted free agents, and I'm hoping they bring back Adam Butler, like I mentioned in last week's episode. So I still put defensive tackle there as a need. Just to, there is a possibility they lose Adam Butler and and the other guys who, for whatever reason, I can't think of right now. John Jenkins, and oh shit, there's somebody else too. I can't think of who it is. But anyway, there's a possibility that the Raiders lose both of those guys to free agency, and then they're really up the creek without a paddle. With Christian Wilkins coming back next season, uh, hopefully healthy. Uh, that leaves a glaring hole in the other defensive tackle spot. And it depends a lot on what kind of. I guess it's going to be the same type of defense, I'd assume, from Patrick Graham for this season. Just as like it's been the last couple seasons, it's done for the most part pretty well with a sketchy start to last season, but it finished strong about halfway through. It started to turn around a good bit. So I did put down defensive tackle as a possible glaring need, even though guys like um, Trayvon Merrick and um, Marcus Epps and oh Jesus, killing me. I can't think of his name. Go back and take a look here real quick. I don't have it. That's frustrating. I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, as those guys, there's a possibility that they move on as well. And the Raiders will be up a creek there in the secondary, and it's kind of it's another glaring need, but I'm not really sure how deep the draft is in cornerback. So we could be looking free agency anyway, and there I'm not sure there either as to what's going to be available. We have the franchise tag is now open. The time period where you can start franchise tagging players or whatever. I don't think the Raiders are going to franchise tag anybody this year. They franchise tagged Josh Jacobs 2 years ago. I think was that 2 years ago? Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. I don't remember them franchise tagging anybody last year. I could be wrong, but I just it doesn't it doesn't ring a bell. So excuse me. So yeah, and quarterback wise, again, I talked about it last week as well. It's something you could do in the draft and in free agency, in which I actually do think that's what's going to happen. The Raiders are expected to move on from Gardner Minshew, and it would make sense. I don't know why you'd keep him around. It didn't go so well last year, but you never know. But they're expected to move on from Gardner Minshew, so you're still looking for a quarterback to bring in, a veteran quarterback, and I assume that they'll still probably keep Aiden O'Connell around. Uh, Not really sure. I'm not really sure why you get rid of him either. He hasn't played all that terrible, and by my estimation, I felt like he won the job last year and should have been the rightful starter at the beginning of the season. But anyway, that's another rant for another time, I guess. Yeah, so looking for a bridge quarterback from a veteran to a young rookie, and that's what I think the Raiders should do, and that's why I mentioned last week, a possible trade for oh Jesus Christ, I'm telling you what, I'm so scattered right now. I can't even think of his name. The Rams quarterback. I can't think of his name right now because I keep thinking Sam Darnold, and I don't want Sam Darnold. Uh, Sam Darnold had a great season. He really did, and I just don't have the confidence in Sam Darnold. You look at his full career, and it's been mostly down. Right? This season was the first great season he had. Now, is that because of the scheme that he was in, the players that were surrounding him? Uh, I don't know. And you always think about the last impression made is the one that most people remember, and his last game played in the playoffs, so didn't go so well. Uh, so you kind of look at that, and, was it just a fluke? It kind of stinks to have your whole season tainted by one game at the end of the season, but that happens from time to time. That happens a good bit. So, and so that's one guy that I don't think the Raiders should go after. It's gonna cost a ton of money, uh, to sign him, and and two, I just don't trust him. I don't trust him, and that's just my thought there. And I mentioned Aaron Rodgers. That's one that a lot of Raider fans probably don't want to hear about because of the drama, the goofiness or whatever seems to be following him around. Um, at least the last couple seasons, he's gotten really, really weird. Ever since I guess before COVID, but it seems like COVID is right where uh, is when he started getting like really just goofy, just like a sideshow almost, where it's been more about political or more about off-season antics than it has been on-field product. So there's that, and it's Matthew Stafford, who I was thinking if I looked it up. As soon as I seen his goofy ass face, I remembered his name. But I wouldn't mind the Raiders trading for Matt Stafford, and I don't know what his contract looks like right now or what the cost is, but having him for a year or two, 2 years, I think would be optimal. And bringing in a young quarterback, especially if you can't get a one of the top two quarterbacks, which is Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward, early in the draft. If you can't get one of those guys and you decide to draft later, second, third, or fourth round, that quarterback should sit. He should sit for a season or two. I know Pete Carroll's contract was a 3 years with a fourth year option, so uh, he doesn't have a whole lot of time, but he does have some time. Let that rookie sit for at least a season, and see where we're at then. It's not a terrible idea, I don't think. Anyway, that's just my opinion. But Matt Stafford or like I said, an Aaron Rodgers, Jameis Winston, sign him for a 2 year contract, 1 year, 2 year contract, and see how that goes. And again, draft a young quarterback. But some of these young quarterbacks, I'm going to talk about here in a second. Uh, they have had impressive seasons, especially this past season. And I know who I like, and I'm sure everybody has a different opinion on it. So looking at according to Fox Sports, this is where I got my information from on this. I'm not a big college guy. I don't watch a whole lot of college football. When I do, I'm just watching just to watch a game. I really don't know who's who or what have you. And got a hair in my eye. It's killing me. I'm all over the freaking place here. I wish I could just hit the damn reset button and start this all over and get my shit together, but it's just not going to happen. I'm already 15 minutes into this, and we're going good or bad. We're pushing through this. We're pushing through this. So anyway, so this is what Fox has, Fox News, and or Fox Sports as your top six quarterbacks, where they're projected to go and stuff like that. They have Shadur Sanders as the top number one overall rated quarterback in this draft class. Uh, 50 starts under his belt. Out of these top six, by far the most experienced quarterback. 23 years old, 6'2", 215 pounds, lean, athletic, uh, confident, cocky. There's a bunch of different ways you can look at it. It's easy to confuse sometimes confidence with cockiness, and it's a fine line. It really is a fine line, and he's on that line. And it depends on what lens you're looking through is how you view him. If you're looking at him through uh, oh, that's Prime's kid, and making all the great plays and stuff like that. You know, you're looking at him as a confident quarterback. With the flashiness afterwards and whatnot. If you look at him, it's like, oh, that's Deion Sanders kid, Mr. Showboat kind of thing. Well, then that rubs off on him. You see his antics, and you look at him as being cocky, arrogant, overconfident. So it really is. It's all opinion. It's how you view him. It's how you view his dad. Basically, that's how I look at it. It's how you view him is how you actually view his dad. If you think his dad is a great player, and you loved his confidence and his on field cockiness or uh, uh, antics, and then you love Shador. You love his flashiness, his confidence, his perceived cockiness. But if you weren't a big fan of that kind of flashiness that Prime had back in his day, then you're probably not a fan of Shador and his flashiness. So it's tough. It really is, and I can't judge. I wasn't a big fan of Dion's flashiness, showboat type style, but I was a fan because he was really good. He was fantastic uh, you know at being a shutdown corner. Not a great tackler, or anything like that, but that's not what he was being paid for. And so I don't know Shador Sanders. I've seen him play, a little bit, and so I can't really judge him on that. I don't want to judge him on what his dad is or what his dad has done or whatever. It's just not fair. So uh looking at him as just as a quarterback and nothing else. He can hit all the big time throws. He got a strong arm, very accurate, very cool in the pocket. He's been in a pro style offense under Pat Shermer, his former offensive coordinator there at Colorado. And according to Shermer, he's it. He's super accurate, can make all the plays, can read any defense, can lead a team, and just this kind of the highest of regards, from almost everybody that's talked about him, expert wise, not fan wise, but expert wise, it's just saying that he's the best quarterback prospect in the draft, and he can make all the big time plays, all the big time throws, and there's not too many weaknesses to his game. So, excuse me. Then there is Cam Ward out of Miami. Real quick on Shadur Sanders, he's completion percentage of 74%. He threw for 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Didn't run a whole lot, so he's not really a running quarterback. He's a pocket passer that can move the pocket, can work his way out of trouble, but he's looking to throw downfield. So, which I like. I like that. Yeah, I don't think you don't necessarily need a running quarterback. I mean, it helps. Obviously look at Lamar Jackson, but a quarterback that just can move the pocket, get out of trouble, but still keep his eyes downfield and still make the throw. So I'd rather have him keep his eyes downfield, make that 15-yard throw that turns into a 25-yard gain, than have him run 6, 7, 8 yards out of bounds or whatever, or trying to slide and you know rolling an ankle or something. I'd rather see the throw made. So moving the pocket, getting out of trouble, keeping your eyes downfield and making that pass is incredibly important. And from everything I've read, very accurate. So Looking at Cam Ward, completion percentage is 67.2%. He threw for 4,313 yards, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions from the University of Miami. Uh, Averaged 331.8 yards per game throwing, 57 57 starts. So he's actually the most experienced quarterback out of these quarterbacks. 22 years old, 6'2", 223 pounds. Good strong arm. He's accurate as well. Uh, the one thing about him is uh, he has that flair, that flair for dramatics, where under pressure, moving around in the pocket, stepping up under trouble, in the defensive lineman's grasp, and is able to work his way out of it, and just find like a one of those like circus type throws, or like a miracle type throw, where like how the hell did he do that? Like you see Favre make all those kind of throws back in the his days, his prime time days, and as well as right now Patrick Mahomes. He makes a lot of those throws where like how the hell did he do that? He breaks out of something and all of a sudden he flips it over, and it's a 20-yard gain. So it's something that Cam Ward is known for, and had a lot of great plays like that, but also had some bad plays, some interceptions, some negative plays with it. So you got to take that for what it is, for what it's worth. Um, and I seen Cam Ward play a little bit this season as well. He's looked great a lot of times, and there are some times in big games where uh, not so much. That could be the team around him. Miami being maybe a little bit overrated, or is it Cam Ward being a little bit overrated? Not sure. So there's that. But both those guys are projected first round picks, and that's not news to anybody. That appears to be the consensus. 1, 2, or Sanders 1, Ward 2, Ward 1, Sanders 2 of the top two quarterbacks to be going early in the draft. Not saying it's going to be the first overall pick or the second overall pick, but it's going to be they're going to be top five more than likely. So the Raiders picking at 6, they're going to have to figure out a way to move up. Next up, according to Fox Sports, was Jalen Milroe. Completion percentage is 64.3%, 2,844 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 218.8 yards passing per game, 726 yards rushing, 25 starts under his belt, 22 years old, 6'2", 225 pounds. He's fast, strong, can make all the throws, very smart. He's a leader, but from everything I've heard from other podcasts or from reading articles, is that he lacks experience, or something. Like, a lot of people are saying he should return to school and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure. I didn't see Jalen Milroe play it at all. I didn't watch any Alabama football this year, and I feel like it was a down year for Alabama, even though they did almost make the college football playoffs uh, tournament, whatever the hell you want to call it. But just didn't feel like your typical Alabama year. So those guys that are usually in the spotlight weren't quite in the spotlight this year. And I did hear his name a good bit, but didn't really see him play at all. So I can't really comment on that. Just from what I heard, from what I read, a lot of people feel like he's not ready. So that could be one of those quarterbacks that you pick, late second, early third round, that could be a diamond in the rough. Sits for a season or two, and turns into a superstar, comes into his own. Who knows? But from what I was reading on Fox Sports, they're very high on him. They're saying that he has the potential of being the best quarterback in the class, down the road. So there's that with Jalen Milroe. Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. He's projected to go second round. He had a completion percentage of 66%. He threw for 4,779 yards passing. I believe that led the nation in passing. 34 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 367.6 yards per passing per game. 26 starts under his belt. He's 6'3", 224 pounds, 22 years old. He came from Ohio State. He was Ohio State for a couple seasons. Then he transferred over to Syracuse, had a great season with Syracuse. Syracuse had a pretty good season as well. Um, Played great in some big time games, played not so great in some not big games. So 5 touchdowns against the Hurricanes to upset Miami. Then also threw I think 5 interceptions against Pitt. So there's that. I mean, I don't know where you go with that. But from everything I read on the court, again, a guy I haven't seen play. I'm not a college football watcher, so I don't really know. I'm just going off of what I've read and what I've heard from other shows. Um, this is another guy where if I'm a Raider fan and the Raiders don't get one of those top 2 quarterbacks, Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders, Kyle McCord is somebody that I'm watching. I'm watching in the second round, early second round, if the Raiders are holding that spot there. Still, it's somebody I'd really keep my eye on. Um, strong, strong East West Shrine game practices. He didn't play in the game itself. I did sit out for it, but he had great practice, great showing there. So a lot of notoriety there. Very comfortable in the pocket, strong arm, and his one downside that I've read that I've heard about is that he gets a little bit shaky when under pressure. So he has the tendency just to kind of throw it up for grabs or just throw it in the middle of the field for anybody to take, or just kind of that blitz is on him, just quick release, and what happens. So that's a bit of a downfall for him. That's a name that I think we should keep our eye on, especially like I said, if we don't get a quarterback with our first pick, if we don't trade up or whatever, uh, him and the next guy I'm going to talk about are names that we should be keeping an eye on. Cowboy Dave checking in. What's up, brother? I hope you're doing well this fine Tuesday morning. Windy as all hell. It's freaking freezing here in Pennsylvania. Can't stand it. I hate the cold. Used to love the cold. I hate it. But anyway, so moving on from that, you can check Cowboy Dave out this Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. as Dem 215 Boys returns, talking Dallas Cowboy football with our man Paul and Cowboy Dave. So great to see those guys back on talking some Cowboy football and all the debauchery and uh, debacleness. I don't know what the hell kind of word I'm trying to make up here, but I made it up. That's been going on with the Cowboys. So I'm sure they'll break it down pretty good there. Dave being the sweetness to Paul's sour. They're like those guys are like the Sour Patch Kids. First they're sour, then they're sweet. So you have Paul, he's the sour one, and you have Dave, he's the sweet one with the Cowboys. So when you're watching that, just think of that. They're like this. They're like Sour Patch Kids. So they're cutting up your homework and then they're trying to give you a hug. So the next quarterback, Jackson Dart, he's projected to be a second round pick. This is the guy that I like. Got to see him play a little bit this season. I thought he looked good. He looked the part. And from everything I read, he can be the part. 69.3% completion percentage. He threw for 4,279 yards this year, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 329.2 yards passing per game, 495 yards rushing as well, 35 starts under his belt. He's 21 years old, very young, 6'2", 226 pounds. Quick delivery, which I like. I like the quick delivery, back there. And it's, the old Dan Marino style, wham, just, up and gone. You don't want that big elongated throwing motion. And you just want that ball, the arm come up and just, slinging it. That's when it's done right, it's pretty to watch. Very well moving out of the pocket. Throws well on the run. Creates opportunities with his feet, not just as a runner, but as a passer. Like I said, keeping your eyes downfield, very important. The one knock on him that I read here, according to Fox Sports, was that he was in a simple type offense where he didn't have to make too many reads. Usually it was your first read and that was it. So he could be behind the 8 ball a little bit there, but being 21 years old, Dude has plenty of football, so it's somebody that I would bring in, let him sit for a season, and see how he progresses from there. And so finally, and he also Jackson Dart playing in the SEC. That helps. Facing top notch competition there out of Ole Miss. Quinn Ewers out of Texas. Speaking of SEC, he's projected to go late second, early third round. Not too many people high on Quinn Ewers. 65.8% completion percentage, 3,472 yards passing, 31 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, 248 yards rushing, 36 starts under his belt. He's 22 years old, 6'2", 210 pounds. Very, very lean. Um, uh, Spindly looking kind of kid. So there's that. He has been injured over the last few seasons. Getting knocked around a little bit. So there's that injury concern. I don't think the Raiders are going to look at his direction, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't really expect Quinn Ewers to be announced as the future of the Las Vegas Raiders and the quarterback position. But it doesn't have great velocity on his throws, but very accurate. And he's not afraid to throw into tight windows, which is good and bad if you don't have a very strong arm. If you don't have that velocity, that zip on it, you get to the NFL and those guys are going to make up that ground and pick that ball off. So he is a quick decision maker, so that's good as well. He knows where he wants to go with the ball, and then again, he played at Texas. Tough conference in the SEC. Texas had a great year, and so there's that. So those are the top six quarterbacks according to Fox Sports. I like Shador Sanders and Jackson Dart, Kyle McCord in that order. And if the Raiders aren't able to trade up to get Shador, I don't know if I wouldn't be too surprised if they trade back a little bit to try to accumulate more picks. Perhaps maybe there's somebody, excuse me, that doesn't have a pick in the first round that wants to really move up, make that jump up, or maybe there's somebody halfway through the first round looking to make a jump up to get a defensive player or an offensive lineman or something like that. And there's always that possibility that maybe the Raiders can grab another second round pick or what have you. It's a bunch of different ways this can go for the Raiders. Sitting at the sixth spot. There is every opportunity they can trade up, but whether or not Sanders or Ward will still be there where they trade up to, that's the question. What are these teams going to do? What are the Giants going to do? What are the Browns going to do? With their crazy ass quarterback situation, it's you don't know. Tennessee Titans, just drafting a quarterback. Was it 2 seasons ago? The mayonnaise kid. So the one that puts mayonnaise in his coffee all the time. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. See how it shakes down. I don't imagine. I can't imagine more than two quarterbacks going in the first 15 picks, the first 10 picks, first 5 picks. I couldn't imagine more than two quarterbacks going. Now, if you want to say in the first round, you could possibly see 3 or 4 quarterbacks going in the first round. Maybe late first round, maybe somebody trades up, trades their second round pick, and next year number 1 to move up late first round. To maybe grab a Jackson Dart or a Kyle McCord or Jalen Milrow or somebody like that. That there's always that possibility as well. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they treat how the Raiders treat free agency at the quarterback position. If they do go out there and get that veteran quarterback to be a bridge. So just trying to think here. Mariota was another name. I forgot his name last week. Marcus Mariota, that was another name that popped up. I brought him up last week as well because I couldn't remember his damn name. So I'm there, trying to be a podcaster and be a Google searcher all at the same time there. It wasn't going so well for me. But anyway, Marcus Mariota, that's a name I wouldn't be overly upset with seeing, pop up maybe for the Raiders. I say why not? Yeah, he does have he is familiar with Chip Kelly, and as a bridge quarterback, not as your future quarterback or whatever. Yeah, he is only 31. Played with Washington last year. Um, I'm not sure if he's under contract still or not. Um, Marcus Mariota contract. Let's look that up here real quick. Um, no, yeah. So he's not he's a free agent now, and so his name did pop up, and I think that'd be pretty neat to see him come back to the silver and black. He was here for what was it, I think 2 seasons or something, and he had a couple splashy plays, and then he got hurt. What was it, that one? Was there a run that he had? And he ended up getting hurt on that run. It was a big run. I think it was 2 seasons ago. They were running him in as a kind of like a gimmick quarterback. You didn't know if he was going to run or if he was going to throw, kind of thing. But it was neat to have. So yeah. So that's another name to watch. I think in free agency for the Raiders. So you're looking at um, Sam Darnold. Potentially being a free agent. He could get franchise tagged as well, which would cost the Vikings. I think I heard 40, 41, 42 million dollars or whatever, somewhere in that ballpark. And or he could just resign there. Who knows? Uh, Also, Matthew Stafford, or whatever the hell you want to call him. There's trade rumors with him. Aaron Rodgers being a free agent. Again, I would welcome Aaron Rodgers for a season. Absolutely, as a bridge quarterback. He said he's willing to mentor a young quarterback. So there's that willingness. Um, I mentioned Jameis Winston. I think that'd be interesting as well. Did he? So there's times he looks really, really good, and then there's times he looks really, really bad. So you kind of hope for the best with Winston. So that's a couple more names out there. Um, but yeah, I think they go veteran, and then I think they draft a quarterback, whether that's first, second, third round. We'll have to wait and see what that's going to be. All right. So my team needs for the Raiders, I think it's quarterback. That's obviously number one. I think running back definitely is number two. Then I go O line, wide receiver, defensive tackle, and cornerback. So that's where I go there. Uh, Next week, I'll talk a little bit more about the running backs. We'll look at free agent running backs, and we'll look at the running backs in the draft. It's supposed to be a pretty deep running back class. Cowboy Dave says Rodgers wearing the silver and black would be interesting. I think it would be. Again, Dave, like I said earlier, the only thing you don't like is the weirdness and the drama that he kind of brings with him. If you can get past that, then it'd be a lot of fun. Potentially be a lot of fun. Uh, he's obviously not looked very good with the Jets, but for an old quarterback, an aging quarterback that tore his Achilles, he came back the next season. I don't know what the Jets organization or the fan base was really expecting out of him. I don't know if they were expecting miracles out of him or what. I mean, it's not like it was a great roster either. So I don't know. And the Raiders aren't a great roster. So him coming here isn't meaning that he's going to have great success. Just because he's come, he would come to the silver and black. Uh, but I think another year removed from that Achilles injury probably could help some. So he wasn't totally himself last year. It takes time, especially like I said, for an aging quarterback to come back from an injury like that. From anybody, really, anybody coming back from an Achilles injury like that, it takes time, it takes patience. I can't see Rodgers and Carroll getting along. That's just me. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about Pete Carroll's demeanor um, behind the scenes to really know. But I know he's that rah kind of coach. He's always amped up, and that is something that might rub Aaron Rodgers the wrong way, and then in return it would rub Pete Carroll the wrong way. That is something to look at how Pete Carroll and Aaron Rodgers would mesh. And that's why everybody's always saying, Russell Wilson, would be a good fit with the Raiders because of his experience with Pete Carroll. But you remember they did have a falling out as well. That's kind of why, uh, that's how Russ ended up in Denver. He wasn't feeling it anymore in Seattle, and Seattle wasn't feeling him anymore. And he and Pete kind of had a falling out. And from everything I've heard or read, that they kind of buried the hatchet, and that's that. But I'm not a big um, Russell Wilson fan. So I don't know. If they signed Russell Wilson to a 1 year deal, I'd be fine with that. But if they come out there and they say, we're gonna, Russell Wilson, they have a 3 year deal, and this, that, and the other, it's like, oh man, I think that would get under my skin a little bit. But again, I'm not a professional. They get paid lots of money. I do not get paid any money to do this. So kind of just trust their judgment and go with it. So, all right. So that's all I have to say about that. Um, and that's pretty much all I got for today's show. Before I duck out of here, got a couple things. Be sure to follow us here on Out of the Box Sports at OOT Box Sports on YouTube and X. Be sure to follow and subscribe to that YouTube channel and on X. You can check me out on YouTube at the Batcave _ OOTBSE. I appreciate if you subscribe to that channel. On X, SB _ Lair _ OOTBE on X. I appreciate a follow. I follow back. And you want to help me out, head on over to W Energy at www.w.gg. Use my promo code The Batcave for 10% off your order. W Energy drinks. Again, I said it on here a couple times. I like it. I dig the stuff. I think it's really good. It's a jitterless energy drink, made from coffee fruit extract, natural ingredients. It's really good. Yeah, you have to try. Like there's sampler packs on there. So if you're like, I don't want to dive in head first to this stuff until I try like some sort of sample. They do have a sampler pack where you can get, I think it's like 3 different flavors, and I think 6 packs or something like that, and a shaker. So you can always select that. Use my promo code The Batcave, all one word, and get to 10% off of that. Or if you just want to dive right in, say, you know what, I'm going to pick a flavor and go with it, you could do that too. So by all means, check it out. Check them out. W Energy Drink at www.w.gg and use my promo code The Batcave, all one word, for 10% off your order. I got a couple more comments here. Actually, one more comment from Cowboy Dave. I love the Raiders tight end. Bowers kid is really good. Yeah, he is really good. So hopefully they pair him up with a really good quarterback. And again, he didn't have a really good quarterback last year. Minshew, wasn't all that great. AOC, Aiden O'Connell, he was okay. I'm not gonna say he was great. He was okay. I feel like he was better than Minshew, but imagine if he had actually had a great quarterback. So, the sky's the limit for that kid. So hopefully they can pair him up with a really good quarterback for years to come. That'd be a bonus. All right. So you can also check out our boy Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856 209 5258. And he has two offices in Pennsylvania, one on the east side and one on the west side. The one on the west side is in Pittsburgh on 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412 365 8151. And the one on the east side is in Philly, located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267 888 2980. That's our boy Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. Be sure to let him know Out of the Box Sports sent you, and he'll hook you up with a great deal. So drop that name, right? Drop it. We are scheduled this week coming up. We have tonight. You have Commanders Gridiron at 8:30 p.m. Talking Washington Commanders football. Part-time Marks 10:30 p.m. tonight. Talking wrestling. Talking Raw and NXT. I'll be live again tomorrow morning. The Bat Cave talking New York Mets football or baseball. Talking New York Mets baseball. Hopefully they're not playing football this year. We'll be in trouble. That's at 9 a.m. tomorrow with the Bat Cave. Dem 215 boys talking Dallas Cowboy football tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. Thursday around the NFL at 7 p.m. Now here on the schedule it says Silver and Black, LA Kings at 9 a.m. Thursday. That's been moved to Friday noon, as I'll have a special guest. I'll have Connor Doyle on with me. I don't have a clip share page here of him, but anyway, I'll share it on X, and you'll be sure to check that show out this Friday. As I have Connor Doyle on the show. He's a co-editor at the Hockey News, LA Kings beat writer kind of thing. So be sure to check that out. Really smart dude. He knows his LA Kings inside and out. So I'm interested to I'm excited to pick his brain and interested to see what he's going to say. So there's that this Friday at noon. But tomorrow, 9 a.m., check me out with the Bat Cave. Got one more comment here. Cowboy Dave says, I will be on the Part-Time Mark show tonight, talking Monday Night Raw. So Dave will be live tonight with the Marks, talking Monday Night Raw. So with Kurt McGirt and Black Lightning. So be sure to check that out. And also, they'll be live this Saturday, 9 p.m. The Part-Time Marks guys will be taking over the Atomic Drop podcast. I will be unavailable. My daughter has a softball tournament Saturday night up in Wilkes-Barre, so I will not be available for that show. So the Part-Time Marks guys will be running the Atomic Drop this Saturday as well. All right, so that's all I have for today. I'm losing my voice. It's driving me nuts. I forgot every goddamn thing I wanted to say today, so you're probably sick of listening to me anyway. Thank you for checking the show out. I'll bring my A game next week, and hopefully I sound a lot better. Be sure to check me out tomorrow, 9 a.m., the Bat Cave, talking Mets baseball. And then Friday at noon with Connor Doyle from the Hockey News, talking LA Kings. That's Silver and Black Lair, LA Kings, this Friday at noon with Connor Doyle. All right. Scott, one last thing to say before I get out of here. Muster up a little bit of throat power here. And those three words are just win, baby.